Hello everyone, my name is Kingsley and welcome to my YouTube video on VPNs on the ASA. Okay, we've done a lot of implementations. We've come up with different solutions and look at different use cases for both site-to-site and remote access VPN. I promised to make a video on how you can implement remote access VPN using ASDM, and that is the objective of this video. We've implemented remote access VPN for marketing users. We've already implemented for finance. In fact, we started with finance, and now we want to look at the infrastructure team. Okay. For the finance, what we said then was that we want to tunnel their traffic to the London DC. These are their servers. We tested, they had access to these servers, and we also helping their traffic to the internet, right? To this internet. So from this user, once it's connected to the corporate laptop, all his traffic comes to the VPN gateway. We also did the same thing for marketing, which was a little bit much more simpler because we just replicated the config here and changed the renaming. So marketing we also did for them. We said this is marketing server and we did the implementation. We looked at the different components of the remote access VPN and how we can tweak them a little bit, right? So things like the VPN filter, the tunnel group lock, the play tunneling, we tested all of that and it's worked fine. If you missed the video, I'm going to put the description under that current video so that you can definitely watch them, right? Pretty interesting. Okay, so in this video we just want to basically do the same thing that we already did for these users, but we just want to use the ASDM so that you can also have both the CLI and the GUI way of implementing. I have to be honest, it's much more easier when you do it on the ASDM because you're just clicking and right. But it's very important that you know the implementation from the CLI. I feel it makes you understand it better, right? If you know how to do it from the CLI, so you want to check out those videos where we did this implementation. Because on the web browser or the GUI, there's a lot of abstraction that happens behind the scene, and of course it generates the ASDM generates the configs, and you're able to see what is actually pushing to the device, but you really don't get it more than when you actually implement from the CLI. So I recommend you check out the videos that we did implementation for marketing and finance, and then you can definitely come back and watch the implementation for ASDM. Okay, now let's get started. So this is our VPN gateway. Our manager gave us a task, which is infrastructure team should have access to every site, okay? Because infrastructure manage the entire corporate network, right? So they need to have access to every site, right? At least at layer 3, right? So they should be able to reach these servers, right? At least the hardware servers, not necessary that they can log into the applications, or we are not really concerned about what runs on those servers, but our interest is connectivity or reachability to the server. So that's what we need to implement. We'll do split tunneling for them. If they want to go to the internet, they don't have to come to the corporate VPN gateway. They just need to be able to access these 3 networks. Okay. It's just there's really nothing different from what we've done before. Like I said, we just want to do it for ASDM, right, using the GUI. Now, so let me consult to the VPN gateway, which is what you have here. So this is the VPN gateway, as you can see. I made some few changes from the previous video. If you look at the show version, you see I'm running 9.17. Okay, kind of a bit of downgrade. I was initially using 9.19, right? The reason why I did that was the 9.19 supports ASDM. I think it's let me show you the ASDM we have here. So if I do dir arrow dex 0, okay, so the ASDM I have here is 7181 152.bin, but the 91 where is it again? But the 91.9 which I was using before only supported 7191 here. Okay, and I don't have this ASDM locally. I have to get it from Cisco website, and so but since I already have this, I decide to just load it with loading another image for the implementation. So in case you're following and you're not sure which version of ASDM ASA to use, ASAV to use, this is what I'm using, and so far it supports most of the configuration. But I didn't change the version that is here. It's still the old version. So if I check the FRA and I check the version here, you see we are running the much higher version, which is the 919. Okay, so that's it, but we don't really need the ASDM yet. Here is where we need the ASDM, so let's get started. So like I was saying, I already copied this image in. If you don't know how to do that, I think in one of our videos I showed I demonstrated it, how you can copy files into your ASA. So we are not doing that anymore again. So yeah, now the next thing is to allow HTTP access to the ASA so that you can connect to it through ASDM, the ASDM application. So if I do show run HTTP, will it give me? Yeah. Okay, so as you can see, so I'm running HTTP, I'm enabling the HTTP server, but on port 8443, right? This is what allow the this is what allow the ASDM to run, right? And I'm also saying which interface am I allowing it. I said on the outside interface and any IP. This is probably bad. If you're working from home, you can definitely know the IPs that you use, what your public IP is, and just allow it here. Or so it's better to just create for reward. You want to create maybe a list of /32 IPs that all the guys in your team, the network teams, and anybody that needs to come in through the ASDM can use. Okay, so but this is a lab, that's why we are just allowing everything from the outside. Okay, I think that's all. So what we just need to do now is to pick up our browser and connect, right? So the IP of the public interface, you should know that by now. I'm using 192.168.1.30. So I'm just going to put that here. So 192.168.1.30. Now since we are putting it on port 8443, right? If you look at the configs again, you see it's on port 8443. It's not really necessary, right? But we have SSL running already on 443, which is the remote access VPN. What we are doing is for the ASDM. So you just want to maybe separate the ports and say listening on port 8443. Yeah. So in that case, but you could still leave it as default. And okay, so let me show you something. So now I just need to say 8443, right? And so I hope I have access to that IP. So let me check from my local system. Yeah. So I need to add a HTTPS behind. So I need to say HTTPS. Yeah. Okay, so the ASA is using a self-signed certificate, and so it gives me this straight up, right? So I can just download and install this, but I already installed it. So you just download, install. I don't think you might need to install Java runtime environment. I'm not sure, but it looks like this image already comes with a GRE. They call it Open GRE because if you look at the image, so it looks like you don't need to install the Java runtime environment anymore. Okay, so that is that. So I wanted to also say that I can as well decide not to put the 8443. Okay, and just run it on a default port, show run HTTP, right? Save. But then here I will need to do this. I will need to say, well, we're using the default ports, but then I need the admin access. Okay, so it's still going to work, right? Yeah, so it still gets here, because if you don't specify the admin access, then it's going to load your normal VPN, right? Hope it's clear now. All right, so that's just the difference. So yeah, we can just work with this. Okay. But the other question is, so once you download it and you want to connect, okay, so let's try something. So I've already downloaded it and the ASDM is already installed on my laptop. So let me drag it here. So let's say I take this out and just hit OK. Let's see. Is it going to respond? Yeah, so it's still going to work. So I'm just going to, I think I have admin created there, and hit login. So I'm not sure of the let me try the username again. Okay, so it looks like my credentials is not accurate, so let's check what we have there. So I need to create a default user. So I do have admin though. I think I probably used, let me check the password again. I'll probably use the password I don't remember. Login. Okay, so I'm just going to reset the password for the admin. So I'm just going to say, I'm going to take this from off screen and put the password. So it's going to be, so I'm just going to say attributes, service type is admin. Okay, so that is gone. And let me bring it back and say show run username. Okay, so I've reset the password, so let's try again. So let me enter the password now. Okay, so I think this probably has something to do with the, I'm not sure why the authentication is not working, but let's try something. Show run HTTP. So let's move it back to 8443. Maybe that's the problem, because it's strange. 8443. Okay, so let's save again. And now let's try to log in. Oh, so I have to disconnect and then put in 8443, which is this. Click OK. And then I'm going to say admin. I hope it's admin, yeah. So yeah, so that was the problem, right? So I think it's just safer to just move the port to a different port so that it doesn't conflict with your SSL VPN. Okay, yeah. Okay, so we're just going to wait for it to connect to the device. This is the topology, right? My laptop is somewhere connected to this NIC, and this is the primary, this is the secondary device. Okay, yep. So let's wait for it to connect. Yeah, it's virtual environment, so it's going to be a little bit slow. So I'm just going to pause it a bit so it's connected. Okay, now it's loading. It was a bit slow. Now it's connected. It's opened on my second screen. So this is what I got, and so I'm going to click OK, and then this is our ASDM. Okay, nice. So as you can see, I'm running 9171.7.718, and just 2 gig of memory. Flash has 8 gig. I mean, this has been there for years, so there's really nothing special here. So what we want to do is we want to implement remote access VPN for the infrastructure team. So let's get started. So we go to configuration, just go to remote access VPN. It's really straightforward. I think it's straightforward when you really understand how to build it from the CLI. Okay, you remember that from the CLI, where's the topology? You know that from the CLI, the first thing is we create tunnel groups, right? Then there has to be a group policy. The group policy is tied to the tunnel group, and then within the tunnel group, you define your local pool, your group policy. You define if it's going to be split tunneling. You want to define your VPN filter and all those additional components. All right, I think that's really the basics of remote access VPN. So same thing here. As you can see, if we go to remote access VPN and we go to yeah, so where do we go to? Okay, so if we go to this, we say clientless SSL VPN or network client access. So let's check here. Okay, yeah, so this is where we need to go to, right? So you say this is network client access, and then this is clientless SSL VPN. We are not interested in clientless. This is where we're interested. This is our concern, right? So we need to, the implementation is going to be around this point. Okay, so I'm going to click on any connect connection profile. The connection profiles are like the tunnel groups. We've said this severally. And so as you can see, we have our finance and marketing, right? So we just need to add one more. And then we're just going to call it infra team. Okay, we also call them infra team VPN. Okay, authentication is going to be local, which is the default. So if you needed to point to a radio server, this is, I'm going to probably make a video on that in the future. Maybe I will need to spin up ICE and Active Directory, and then we just see how this thing works. Okay, if you want me to make that video, you put it on the comment section. And you also want to subscribe, right? You want to subscribe to this video so that when we make new videos like this, you get to hear of it, and then might be useful to you. Now, so if you create your tunnel, you need to define a pool. So we just select a pool. We already have some pools there for marketing and finance. We just add one more, and then we call it infra team pool. Okay, the IPs, I'm going to use 192.168.80.0 in this case, so that's .1, and 192.168.80.254. right? You don't really need the entire subnet, but it doesn't hurt. If it's a very big network where you have over close to 200 users, then you probably need the entire subnet. Otherwise, you can just define the /26 or 27, depends on how many persons are actually in the infrastructure team. Yeah, so click OK. So it's created, and we need to assign. Just double click, it pops in here, and I'm going to hit OK. So yeah, so we have your tunnel. It's asking what group policy do you want to pick. So click manage to go and select. So we have the finance policy and marketing policy. We need to create another one as well. So we can give it a name here. We're going to call it infra team GRP policy. Okay. And yeah, so it's asking you, do you want to inherit default banner? Yes, we don't have any business there. Do you want to inherit this? Yeah. Do you want address pool? I'm not really sure why you will need address pool at a group policy level, right? But I see it's an option here. I'm just thinking of what is the use case. If you know, you can put it in the comment section. I'll be glad. Okay. And yeah, so let's hit the done button. Here it's saying tunnel group. Do you want to inherit from the default group policy? We'll say no. We just want SSL, right? Yes, I think this is, you know, when we say show run group policy, you see there's a place that says VPN tunnel protocol, right? So it's SSL. We're not running this applies to site and the others. Then it says, do you want to do filter? Now, we don't really want to do a filter, but we can just add it, right? So this filter applies to, so let me just be showing you. So if I say show run group policy, okay, remember this is what they are referring to. This applies to access list for the VPN, okay. Then before we saw something on what was that again? On the address pool. Okay, so that's not what I was saying. So this is what they are referring to. This is because we're creating the group policy, right? So we're defining the attribute here. Okay, so for the VPN filter, if you don't specify it, then it's just not, it's going to be none, which is what it's going to inherit. Okay, then so I was talking about this, right? It's a VPN tunnel protocol. We say SSL client. That's what we just picked here as well, right? That's what we just picked here. Now for the filter, if we go back to the topology, we said that for infrastructure, they need access to everything. So we can just create a filter and then put in everything. That /16, the /24 here, and the /24 in New York City, DC. Okay, you can just do that. It's not too hot. Well, what that means, yeah. So why we should do it is maybe in the future we add more sites and you don't want them to have access to that site. They just have to be like some control somewhere. Okay, and so we're just going to say, so we don't have it here. So we're just going to create a filter for the infra thing. So I'm going to create an access list. I'm going to call it infra VPN ACL. Let's say VPN filter ACL. So anybody says you know what it's doing. Then we can add access control list entries. That's what ACL means. So we're just going to say if it's coming from now. Remember the pool we created was for, remember the address pool we created, we said it was 192.168.80.0, right? So if it's going to be coming from that subnet and to a specific destination, so let's just create some objects here, right? Everything kind of from here you can get to everywhere. So I'm going to say let's create a network object and we're going to call it 192.168.80.0/24. It's going to be a network address, and then it's going to be 192.168.80.0. Okay, you just say infrastructure, guys, infra team. Yeah, we don't need to do that for them, it's not needed, so we just hit okay. So it's there, so we can select them now. Okay, so if you double click, it's going to pop in here and then hit okay. So we are saying if it's coming from this network and it's going to London DC. London DC is the /16 subnet, so we can just pick it here. I'm sorry, it pops to my second screen, so I have to drag it back. So we're just going to say if it goes to this network, just allow it, right? So that's first entry, and the second entry to the New York City DC, right? So we just go back and then we say it's going to, if it's coming from this network again, and if it's going to 172, right? So we already have this object created. Hit OK. And the third is going to be New York City, right? So let's add another. So you need to be able to differentiate between access list and access list entry. Access list is like the name of the access list. The entries are the different components you tied to that access list. Okay, so we're gonna go back again. If it's coming from this network, okay, and if it's going to so I don't have to explain this again. The New York City, this is being natted to this block, so that's what we need to point to. Okay, so hit OK, and OK, yeah. So our access list is ready. You can drag and you see that. So we just really just align everything, right, on the VPN filter to the 3 different sites. Okay, and note that this VPN filter is in both direction. Okay, you don't need to do the reverse. I think it automatically does that. So you can source from this subnet to this subnet, and it's going to allow that. So it's bi-directional by default. So I'm going to hit OK. So we're done with the filter. Access house. So I explained this in the past. If you want to lock it down to maybe contractors, if you want to change the simultaneous logins, how many users, maybe 200 simultaneous login for one user and all of that. Okay, restrict access to certain VLAN. We're not doing that. Connection profile lock. So this is where you lock it down to a tunnel group, right? So maybe it's much more easier on the CLI though. Okay, now if you want to lock it down, you need to have the tunnel group. Okay, so let's see, it should automatically route me because we came to the group policy through a tunnel group, right? So it should automatically select the tunnel group. Yeah, I said marketing, but it's not marketing we need. So we don't yet have the tunnel group. Okay, the tunnel group is not yet created, so we can't reference it. So it's going to be default for now. So let's just leave it that way. We'll come back and fix that. Maximum connection time, idle timeouts, SGT. These are advanced implementations, smart card remover, and all the other components. And yeah, we're not interested in that. So do you want to implement DNS? Not really, but I mean, you can just say 8.8.8 or your internal DNS that you're using. And yeah, so here it's also very important, the split tunneling. Yeah, we said we want to do split tunneling for them. Not all their traffic should go through the tunnel, but for traffic that is internet should go straight to the internet. But if you want to access those 3 different sites, then you can do split tunneling. DNS names, we are not interested. Send DNS lookup now. Policy. Yeah, so we need to do policy, right? And we say here's a tunnel or network. Here is tunnel the network list below. Now, what is the network list below? We can then create that. Now, what does that mean on the CLI? This is what it's talking about. Okay, let's use, for finance, we are tunneling everything, but for marketing, look at what it's saying. Now, that is the list below is talking about, right? Here we say split tunneling, tunnel specify. So this is like the list below. That's what this actually translates to on the CLI. And then this is the network list that we need to create. So this is the access list that actually define which traffic should be tunneled. Okay, you should be able to differentiate it from this access list. This access list is also doing the same thing, but this access list is not what determines what goes through the tunnel. Yes, it's what determines it though, but he's just looking out for any traffic coming. It's just looking at, oh, are you allowed or not allowed? Well, here, this is what gets injected into the routing table of your laptop. Whether it's Windows or Mac OS or Linux, this is what gets injected. This is like a police on the road. you're already on your way coming. They're just going to check and stop you. But they are not the one that will tell you the direction or whether to go through the tunnel. Okay. Yeah, so this is what injects the routing table into your device. Okay, so this is what we need to specify now. Now if we go back to the topology, we said infrastructure should, so if they are trying to go to this network or this network or this network, it should be tunnel, right? So we need to inject this 3 subnet into the route table of the laptop that is connecting, or the VPN user. Okay, so to do that, we go back to ASDM, and then we just say on the network list, we say manage, right? So we can still create it here, but you see it's still part of the access list manager, right? So we just add what we want to use. We can say infra team VPN tunneled IPs. Okay, let's probably make it more sense or something. And then we can add the access list entry. Yeah, so we're just going to say, well, if it's coming from here, you don't really need to specify the source and the destination. Okay, but I don't think it's going to hurt if you specify the source and destination. You can just say permit this, you know, it should work to any. Okay, so I'm just going to say permit 172/24. Okay, hit okay, right? And like it could be just a standard access list, that's what I meant. Then we also say permit the /16. Okay, and just say okay, and then access list, and then we say permit the 172 subnets, which is this, and just hit okay, and okay. Okay, see, that already exists. Is that what we already picked? Oh, sorry. So the next one is the New York City, right? So let's add that here. You see entry, and then I can just say that is for the New York City. Okay, click OK. So it's there, and then we hit OK. So we are saying tunnel specify, just tunnel whatever IPs are specified in this. Okay, I don't think there's anything else we need to do. Login settings, we don't need all of that. So we hit OK. So the group policy is ready, and so we tie it to the tunnel group. Okay, yeah, kind of overlap. And what else? Let's see, do we have anything we need to do here? We've defined our pool, we've created a policy, and all the components. So I think everything is right on. So here's a enable VPN client protocol, enable IPsec client protocol, following a link to attribute of the group policy selected above. Okay, so let's just push these configs in, and then we see what happens, right? So click OK. SSL enable. Yeah, so I think this is this is SSL, but I think we already did that though. So let's see. Yeah, so we align it on the side interface, and then let's click apply. Yeah, so this gives you the entire configuration. Okay, so we created an object group for the VPN tunnel, right? And then, so something we've not done is, this is the group policy, right? So you see the group policy, this is the access list for the VPN filter. Okay, just forget about all this that were auto-generated. I think I'm not sure. Some are the name, and yeah, so that's why I really don't use the GUI for that. So yeah, so you see the tunnel specified that we talked about. Yeah, it's there. So the tunnel group is there. This is the connection profile really. and there's general attributes. We've tied into the group policy, and address pool, we've tied it to the address pool, but you see the configuration for address pool is not really here, right? You see, it was created, we specified it, but it seems it was not picked. So we can set this in and later just come and do that. So let's just do that for now. So it was sent, but there was error somewhere. Yeah, so it's an address pool for, so we created an address pool, but it was not actually created. I don't know why it wasn't. I know we did it right. So, but let's just close and just do it again. So it's just going to sync. So everything is there. So we can go back and edit this guy, and then we can just try to do address pool again. So it was not actually created. Okay, so let's click add again, and then we said infra team pool, and then we said the starting IP is 192.168.80.0.1, of course, to 192.168.80.254, and the mask is /24. So click OK. Maybe we didn't select it, I don't know, but we did, of course we did. And you click OK again, and then you hit apply. Now it's actually generated. Okay, so we just generate it now, hit send. Cool. We still have to go back again. Is there anything left? So under the tunnel group, so this is the tunnel group. We've specified the policy. I think there was something missing here that we could not, which was the group lock, right? Because it was not created. It wasn't created as at then. So we can go back to this part, just do a drop down, and yeah, so we can come here to say lock it down. So you see it pops out now. Okay, so this is what I'm referring to. This nice. Okay, so we just hit OK, 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 hit apply. Yep, send. Nice. What else? So the VPN filter is there. The NAT, we need to work on the NAT settings, right? But let's even try to connect and see if the VPN is going to pop up, right? So we can verify our commands that they are there. So if I say show run group policy, okay, so yeah, it's there, right? So I see this DNS is here. Okay, so this is it, that's generated. And if you also say show run group policy, yeah, so there's group policy for the infrastructure guys. And yeah, so was the group policy I ran before? Oh, sorry. So show run tunnel group. So we have for the infracting. Yep. So the pool is there, the group policy is there, and then the alias is also there. So we should be able to see it pop up when we try to connect through the remote access VPN. So I'm just going to bring up a Windows system, which we have been using. This is like a clone, and we call it the infrastructure team. So I should already have the AnyConnect VPN connected. Let's confirm we have reachability to the interface. Ping to 192.168.1.30. Okay, so there's a problem here. I'm not too sure. So I need to check the network settings. Just a sec. See if we have time for that. So let's come here, control panel, network, and internet option I think should be here. and this, and this, properties, this. Oh, I think I did some test with this before, so we should go back to the default now. So I'm just gonna close this, so we should have access now. Yep. Okay, so it's always good to test before so you know where the problem is coming from. So we want to test the remote access VPN now. Looks nice, and then we should see infra team. Okay, so I'm just going to use the admin credentials I created before. Okay, I hope it gets me in. Yeah, looks good, right? So let's look at what we have on the routing table. Route prints. Okay, this is the really important stuff. So here we're saying DNS you route through the tunnel. Okay, this might be good if you have your corporate DNS and you want to also use it for your resolution. Maybe you have DNS security there, so that works. So as you can see, the /16, we send it through the tunnel. Nice. The 172, we are sending it to the gateway. Nice. And the New York City. Okay, so routing table looks good. What is my IP? Okay, yeah, my IP is 1.1. Yeah, it looks like it's flapping. This is virtual environment, so the connection might not be stable. Yeah, so it's just going to connect again. Yeah, so of course we shouldn't be able to ping anything, right? Because we've not fixed the NAT rules. We already know that. So one way you can quickly check that is we'll do that later. Okay, so let's just quickly go back to the ASDM. We are not running out of time, and fix the NAT. Now for the NAT rules, you just go to firewall and you see your NAT rules here. So these are the ones that we created in the past. Okay. Yep. So I'm really very sorry if the test is really very small. I'm not sure how to change the size of ASDM. I'm going to probably check it after the video, but it probably looks too small. I don't know, but you can always change your screen resolution so that it gets bigger, and just watch the video. So let's create some NAT rules. Okay, so we can come here and just say insert after. So what are the NAT rules? The NAT rule says if it's coming from this subnet and it's going to this user, don't NAT it, because we have to send it through the tunnel, right? Yeah, because it's going to go through the tunnel, right? So don't NAT it. There's NAT exemption for that. Okay, so let's do that. So you're going to say if it's coming from inside to outside, these are the two interfaces. But what is the source IP? So the source IP is if it's coming from this subnet, and the destination is our pool. Okay, yeah, so don't change it. You can still come back and specify the IP server. It's just original, still the same. I say do not respond to proxy, do a route lookup. Yeah, you can do that. And of course you can add a description if you want. So we just add that. So in out this to this, don't NAT. Same for, so what is the next one? So for the frag, so we are saying if it comes through the tunnel here and it tries to go through the IPsec out, don't NAT it. Okay, you don't need to NAT it. So we need to take this block as well and say if it's coming from this subnet. Okay, so we already know the subnet. Okay, so let's do it. So NAT again. So you can see it's really, if you are really used to ASDM, I think it's much more easier to do here. So we're gonna say if it's coming from where now. Okay, now that's the confusing part. This guy is on at home. He comes in through the public interface, goes out through the public interface. It's going to be outside in this case. So we're just going to say outside, and source. And so we can say if it's coming from the subnet. Okay, hit OK. And destination is this subnet. You could have done it in the reverse part, right? Doesn't really matter. It's still bi-directional, and it's going to this location. Okay, done that. Disable proxy, do a route lookup, and the next one is same thing, right? For let's pull up the topology. If it's coming from the infra team and it's coming to this user, with outside, is this to this or this to this. Let's do it the reverse way now, so you see it still works. So I'm saying let's say not after, start after, right? So I'm just gonna say if it's coming from outside, it's going to outside, which sometimes that's really like difficult to understand. So we say if it's coming from 80 and it's going to the NATed pool. Okay, and then we hit OK. So you say the app proxy, you say proxy app is enabled with identity NAT. This is not formally required. In some cases, it can cause connectivity issue. For example, if you configure a broad identity NAT for any IP address, leaving the proxy app enabled can cause problem to host of the network directly. I understand. So we can go back and edit it, right? So let's see, can we edit? So he's saying we shouldn't enable because the subnet is, I don't know what they're talking about, but it doesn't really hurt. So we can leave the no, or just leave everything. Okay, I'll just leave it the way it is. But they're just saying that sometimes you might not want to respond to proxy apps for the entire subnet. It's going to be a lot. But I don't think it hurts or something. Or did I do it on the wrong one? No. Okay, so I think that's everything we need, right? So let's, so this is what we used to do on the CLI. Exactly the same, just apply. We are good. What is next? Still few more configs. Now the site-to-site, we need to include this subnet into the site-to-site, right? And I gave you a solution that if you don't want to do that, then you can just carve out the /24 from here and then NAT it to that, because this entire subnet is already allowed to the site. So you can take you can take the IP here, map it to a /24 here, right? And then we don't need to do anything. I think we should try that. Okay, but I also talked about the issue with that is there's really not an issue really, because it's 1-to-1 NAT, right? So 192.168.80.1 here will map to whatever /24 we created here. So you can still narrow down and know who the user is, but most times when you NAT, it kind of creates that, we don't know who is actually using the IP. Okay, but to reduce the configurations we are doing, I'm just going to carve out a /24 here, and then just take this IP. Once it gets here, we NAT it to that IP and send it across. Okay, for this for the what's it called, for the site-to-site traffic. Okay, the only challenge with that is if these servers now want to get to this user, they now have to point to the NATed IP. It's a bit complicated, so I'm changing my mind. We stick with IP, so let's just add it to to the access list pool. Okay, so if we go to so we need to, so where do we go to configure that? I think if we go to advanced and we say standard access list is here, I think this is where we are. So these are the pool we created, remember? So we already know that we already have London.dc fra, London DC to frag DC. We already, this is what we're already adding. So this is like the local subnets, and these are the remote subnets. Okay, this is local, this is remote. So we just need to come here and say add ACL entry. So here we're going to just add so we need to add the new subnet, right, which is this. Okay, and then we say if it's going to, I don't think you need to specify the remote, because we only, I think it's automatically, let's add the remotes. So the remote here is going to be, I think, a better way of implementing this for you to really understand. I want to go out of here. If we go to site-to-site VPN, okay, I think it's much more clearer here. And so these are our two site-to-site VPN, okay, 1 to 1.10 and 1.20, right? So I'm just going to hit edit here. It's still the same. Yeah, so here explain it much more better, right? So I can just say, okay, on my local pool, that's because it's really the local pool that we are. So this is my local pool, and we can, there's no object group though. So I think we can come here and say, let's click this. So there's really, so what we could have done is to create an object group instead, right? And then tie these IPs to that object group, but we are not doing that. Okay, so here we are just referencing the object group directly in this configuration. So I think we have to go back to, let's go back here and just add it. But like that place is where you can actually also add the IPs. Okay, so I think we should just add it here. So just like we are saying 60 to this, so we just replicate really. Does it have copy? It doesn't have. It's a copy, and then we can just say insert after. Doesn't. It looks like, so let's just add that, please. So we're just going to say if it's coming from this and going to where's it going to this? Yeah, so it's really like, I mean, what we did for the other users. Okay, so let's also add the last one, insert after. Same for if it's coming from, let me not just show you here, from this, and it's going to this. Okay, so that's for the, no, so we don't need to add that here. So this is for, remember, this is for London to frag DC, right? So we need to go to, I think this VPN is the one for the New York City DC. So we need to come here and say, and insert it here, right? So you see entry, and then if we say, if it's coming from this to this. Okay, so that's for the site to site. Okay, so yeah, we're good. This VPN is not, this shouldn't be the right name. I don't think. If we can change it, let's see if we can change it. Yeah, so we can just say London DC to New York City DC. I think that makes more sense. I hope it doesn't take it out from the tunnel. So we'll see from the configuration and say apply. Yeah, so it took it back to the crypto map. Nice. So this is what we're adding. No crypto map this. But you say no crypto map 10 IGV1 transform sets. Why? So why is it taking this out? So it's going to break the tunnel. I'm not sure we're using even IGV1 though, but we can re-enable it, so don't worry. Yeah, so that is done. And then we need to do it from the other end as well. There's a lot of configuration. Unfortunately, for the other ASA, we don't have ASDM there, so we will need to probably do it on the CLI. Okay, so I already have my CLI. So on this are the two ASA. So we also need to take this subnet and add it to the IPsec access list, right? And so we can just come here and this is the FRAGDC. So two things we need to do here, just say show run access list, show run access list. Okay, so we just need to include, so let's create the object network. I'm going to call it 192.168.80.0/24. okay, I will say subnet. And we say subnet is going to be 192.168.80.0/255.255.255.0. yeah, okay, so we can just add to this access list here, such that in this case we are now referencing the subnets. Okay, yeah, so that fixed the access list. We've specified the trusted tunnel, so let's also do the NAT exempt, show run NATs. Let's expand, so that's on a straight line, and then it's just the same thing we are doing. So if it's coming from the inside to the outside, we don't want to NAT, right? So we just take this subnet here, put it space, put it back in, yeah, show run NAT. So yeah, so we're also doing NAT obsession to this subnet. Hit save. What's the next thing? So we repeat the same thing for New York City. I already have a terminal session to that box. So show run NAT, show run access list. I mean, this is just repetition this time. If you really be going through with the other videos. So I'm just going to grab this as well and then put it here, and then we can say okay, just okay. I was wondering why we're seeing the okay, my bad. We need to create the object group first, so we can reference object network 192.168.0/24. Subnet is 192.168.80, sorry, .80. So the what I created is wrong. It should be, because if you are referencing it later, so it should be what, 80.0. okay, so you can say subnet is 192.168.80.0/255.255.0. okay, and then Okay, and then we can just put it here. Okay, so what did I do? Let's do it again. So you should copy from here to, and then add this subnet. Okay, should run that as well. So we do the same thing here. And put that subnet there, which is this. Okay, should run not. So with this, I think everything should be completed. There's a lot of configuration. It's like a day's job. So let's test. Let's see if we are lucky to have connectivity. So let's see, can we reach 10.0.0.20? Yep. So we can get to the server from this user. Pretty nice. And can we also, now let's also test those marketing and infrastructure. And we can just come here and say ping to 172.16.10.252. I think that's the IP. It should work. Yep. Nice. So if this is a CCI lab, you'll be very happy. Okay. So let's also check the 192. So the New York City is 192.168.20.252. Hold your breath. It looks like this didn't work. It didn't work. Is which IP am I pinging? Okay, it's correct. So let's go back and check that the server actually have the right IP. We can start from there. So do I even have the server running? Marketing fra. I don't even have the New York City server console access. So let's come here. So it definitely means it doesn't have an IP. So yeah. So we're still okay. Sudo ifconfig ethernet 0 10.0.0 or 10.252. Net mask is 255.255.255.0. Okay, I hope you know why the IP is this. It has a history on it. Sudo routes add defaults. Gateway should be 10.0.0.10.254. Can I ping the gateway? 54. Yep. Can I ping the user too? Which is 80.1. So it might be going through, the Windows will not respond to ping. So let's do it rather from the device. Interesting. So guys, this concludes the video. I hope it was just a way of showing you how you can also do the same thing on ASDM. And I hope you benefited from it. You learned how to configure it from the ASDM. I myself, I learned a lot from there. So yeah, so marketing, finance, we've implemented the tasks that our manager assigned to us. If you like this video, please subscribe for more use cases like this. We try to look at real world scenarios, and of course it's also important towards your certifications, especially things related to VPN. Okay, now I have one task for you. I might also do a video on it, but this is the task. Let's say marketing have an IP phone, finance have an IP phone, and infrastructure team have IP phones, right? Let's say these guys are sysadmins and your laptop is messing up and you want to call them through your IP phone, not IP phone that goes to the internet. Let's say your PBX is internal here, right? So the PBX is using private IP, and so what I'm basically saying is marketing need to be able to talk to finance and the infrastructure team that are working from over these tunnels. You should be able to call them on your IP phones or your whatever IPTV, or I don't know what I'm not a video expert, but we just want connectivity between these three remote users. The traffic comes, hit the VPN gateway, route back through each of the tunnels to this. That's your task. Let me know. If you think I should make a video on it, you can put a comment on the YouTube channel, and then we will see that. But that's your tag. It should be really easy to implement. You just need to tweak the NAT rules in your. Maybe it should work by default. I don't even know. Okay, but you need to tweak some NAT rules on the ASA and make it work. All right, guys. Thank you. If you like this video, please subscribe, and see you in the next video. In the next video, I want to talk about redundancy for IPsec tunnels. Interesting, right? So let's say we want to have this ASA have a redundant tunnel to the VPN gateway, so that if this internet breaks, we can go over the second tunnel. What do you think? How do we implement that? Those are like real world scenarios that you might want to do. So see you in the next video where we implement that. Bye.